friends, welcome to the channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. Thank you so much for coming back if you've been here before. Today we are going to be doing a interview with your future self, pick a card reading, and this was suggested by one of you. I am so sorry I did not grab your name, and I couldn't find the comment that it came from. Like I couldn't find the comment to give credit to who it came from, but this was suggested by a subscriber. Thank you so much for the suggestion because I love it. So we have 3 piles today. The first pile is the High Priestess card, which is actually Goddess Persephone from the Mythos Tarot deck. Pile number 2 is the High Priestess card from the Light Seer's Tarot deck. And pile number 3 is the High Priestess card from the Little Wizard's Tarot, which is based on Harry Potter. So this is going to be a little bit of a different reading. Some of the cards are pre-shuffled, and then the other cards will be chosen from the deck that you are choosing. So pause the video if you need to. Ask yourself which pile or piles have a message for you. And let's talk about what you can expect in this reading. For this reading, I want to get into as much as possible. So as I said, this is going to be interview with your future self. So we are going to start the reading by looking at your current self and the state of your future self. So we're going to kind of compare the two and just see where you're at and where you are headed. We are then going to look at what your future self wants you to focus on, what your future self wants you to let go of, any career advice your future self has for you, any financial advice your future self has for you, love advice from your future self. We are going to look at something to do today. So something very practical that you can actually do today for your future self, and a surprise that your future self has for you, something to look forward to, if you will. And we will end the reading with just some closing messages, oracle cards, just messages for you to leave you off with. As I said, for this reading, some of the cards are pre-shuffled. Others will be shuffled on camera using the deck that you choose. So if that sounds like something you want to listen, learn more about, let's jump into the reading. Hello, pile number 1. Welcome to your reading. This is going to be your reading if you were drawn to this High Priestess card. And this is the Mythos tarot deck. So I will be using this deck for your reading for the portions that I will be shuffling on camera. I'm going to place that there for now. As a reminder, it's a general reading. Take what resonates, leave the rest behind. You know yourself best. I did do a reading breakdown at the beginning. I highly suggest checking that out if you are interested in knowing more about what we will be looking at. But we are going to start by looking at the state of your current self. And then we're going to take a look at your future self. And then we will move into the rest of the reading. So let's start here. Let's talk about your current self, Peacock. Love this energy so far. And Angel of Love. So these 2 cards represent yourself right now in your current state whenever you're watching this. And then we have the Bear and the Fire Ant. And then we have Blossoming Abundance. Wow, okay. I'm going to place that there. I think I like that for now. So let's talk about your current state, because pile number 1, you are being represented by the Peacock and the Angel of Love in your current state, which is actually very beautiful. So the Peacock is an air sign. So we have Gemini, Libra, Aquarius represented. Just to get the signs out of the way, I know some of you enjoy that. We have the Bear, which is Earth, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. We have the Fire Ant, which is a fire sign, which we have Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. So you could be one of those signs. That could be extra confirmation. If you are not, that is perfectly fine. But let's talk about the Peacock and your current state. So right now, you have been working on your confidence and self-love. At this point in time, whenever you're watching this, that seems to be a big, big focus for this group. And I think that you are, for my pile number ones, you've been working on allowing yourself to be seen for who you are. The peacock can absolutely be authenticity and showing up as we are and bringing what we have to offer into the world and allowing it to be seen for exactly, again, what we are and what we represent and the unique beauty that each of us brings into the world. And I don't necessarily think that that has always been the case for my pile number ones, but it's something that you have been putting an effort towards and working towards. With the peacock here representing your current state, again, you're working on your confidence, you are working on your self worth, and you are showing up in the world and realizing that you can take space, that you deserve to take up space, that you deserve to be seen, that you deserve to share your gifts with the world. The peacock is also very compassionate, very kind. So I do feel that my pile number ones, you are someone who is very kind, very compassionate. You could very well be someone who enjoys helping others. You could be in a helping career where you offer help services to someone. You have a very unique energy to you, and as I was saying, for some of you, you've previously hid that, but at this point in time, you are embracing that. I also feel for most of my pile number ones, this is a time of creativity for you, where you may really be leaning into your creativity and working on creative projects and perhaps more of being more adventurous when it comes to your hobbies, when it comes to your ideas, and when it comes to what it is that you do when you are spending time by yourself or when you are doing things for yourself. My pile number ones with the peacock here, you've been doing a lot of healing work, and I feel like some of that healing work has been around resentment, around parts of your life that were perhaps a little harder than you would have liked. So it just feels like you are embracing the lessons, you are embracing the growth instead of seeing things as, these things keep happening to me. For my pile number ones, it feels like you've really made an effort to take back control of your life and take control of the narrative and really for some of you, you've really been doing a lot of work around forgiving yourself and forgiving someone else. Um, this could be a pile where you've recently been seeing maybe a professional like a therapist, a counselor. Maybe you have a life coach that is helping. This could also just be you yourself doing the work. And as I was saying, there's a lot of self love here. This is a group where self love and a self love practice is probably something that all of you have been partaking in if you chose pile number one. And what's interesting is that you've always been very loving. I absolutely get that about my pile number ones. But I don't think you've always turned your self love inward. I think that love has been kind of sent outward and perhaps given to other people before you give it to yourself. And you've been on this, on this self love practice, and you've been trying to integrate shadow parts and trying to be more accepting about the parts of you that perhaps are not your favorite, but that you understand that they have a seat at the table, that they have a purpose in your life. So there's a lot of embracing of self, loving oneself. And as a result of that, your love for others, your ability to connect with others is much deeper at this time. There's a lot of self acceptance here, as I was saying. And again, through that, you are able to accept others as well. It feels like for my pile number ones, you're understanding the higher workings and you are understanding that everyone has their own biases. So you are able to hold space for others and yourself while at the same time knowing that you don't have to agree with everything that someone else is doing. And you're building strong foundations at this time, pile number one. For some of you, you've been working with the ancestors. This could be like angels or spirit guides as well. Your heart chakra is quite active at this point in time. Some of you could be manifestors in the human design sphere, if you know about that, or manifesting generators. That's coming through. You could be a life path 3, 6, or expression number in numerology 3 or 6. Those are coming in as important. The numbers 3 and 6 are coming in as important in general. All right, pile number 1. Let's get into your future self. Where your future self is at and the energy that your future self brings to the table. And your future self is very strong. We have the bear coming out first here to represent your future self. Your future self has gained a level of strength that I think is going to surprise you. And your future self is very resilient. With the bear here, your future self is also very spiritual. And your future self is very protective of those that your future self loves. We also have the fire ant here, and your future self is absolutely disciplined. There's a lot of discipline for your future self, and this is a future self that is very much a hard worker. But what's interesting is when we look at both energies, there's a lot of balance here. Because when we think about the bear can absolutely take a slumber when it needs to, right? When we think about the bear will hibernate. When we think about the fire ant, it's go, 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 do, do, do. So your future self has gained a level of balance when it comes to work and play, work and spirituality, responsibilities and play. Your future self is quite balanced. Your future self really enjoys working, but your future self also understands the importance of taking a break, stepping back, and taking care of self. Your future self understands that if I work nonstop, I will burn myself out. And if I burn myself out, that is not an abundant way of being. Your future self is also very, I almost want to say that because it's very interesting. We have the bear here, which is earth, and we have the fire ant here, which is fire. But I do feel that your future self operates from the divine feminine, and that your future self knows exactly when it's time to act and when it's time to wait. And your future self takes advantage of that waiting period to practice self-care and self-love. And that's such a beautiful energy to have here, because as I was saying, I feel this is something your current self is cultivating and mastering, and it feels like your future self has already mastered and has already really grown with. Your future self is very thoughtful, very wise. Your future self is not someone who enjoys petty gossip. I actually think that your future self has very good friends, and friends that are very supportive and very loving. For my pile number ones, your future self does enjoy a little bit of solo time. I do feel that this is a future self where, me time is very important in order to regenerate. I'm seeing it here, so I'm going to mention it. For some of you, your future self is a parent, especially with that bear there. I'm kind of getting mama bear energy, regardless of gender. And your future self is focused on self-growth, and not only in the personal spiritual sphere, but in the career finance sphere, and just in all areas of life. Your future self really does have, I really feel for this future self, there's almost like a workout routine, or there's some sort of movement routine that keeps you grounded. Your future self has broken free from anything that is not in alignment. I'm really getting that. So if present time, you have some people that may bring like gossip or drama. I keep getting that for some reason. Your future self is no longer in that. Your future self is no longer entertaining that. Your future self is also very abundant. There's a lot of peace, a lot of harmony here for your future self. There's also monetary abundance. This feels like you've reached a point where you are quite comfortable. There's a lot of creativity here. For some of you, there's going to be a creative project that is going to lead you to more monetary abundance. For others of you, there could be something that you share. So maybe you you do something on social media. Maybe you write a book. Maybe there's something that you share. For some of you, it's your story that you're going to share. Someone here, it could have to do with like cooking, maybe like a cooking channel, a cookbook, something along those lines. And your future self is not afraid to show their sensitivity. That's coming through very strongly as well. Like your future self can say, I don't like this, where I think that your current self, or at least your past self, has really struggled with that. Where even if at this point in time, you're more in a place of, you know what, I can speak up for myself, it feels like your future self is not as nervous about it. That's coming through. I do feel your future self has a very close-knit friend group. And these are people that you can really trust, that you can really lean into. Your future self it's either a career or a business that is thriving, that is exactly where you want it to be. But there is work-life balance here. All right, let's get started with the actual reading. So as I said in the reading breakdown, I will be shuffling on camera for some of these. And the first thing that we are going to start with is what your future self wants you to focus on. So as you are watching this, for my pile number ones, what does their future self want them to focus on? Let's see what we have here. Bottom of the deck, we have the Three of Swords, arrows. So what does your future self want you to focus on? Knight of Coins. I'm not surprised to see that one. Five of Wands. And then we have Six of Cups. So pile number one. There's a few things that your future self wants you to focus on. First things first, your future self really wants you to come up with a plan, if you will. This is really the energy of it's time to really almost figure the path out. And for those of you that have the plan, what you're being called to do is be patient and realistic with that plan. What you are building is an empire. You are not building a house of cards. It's very important for my pile number ones to be conscious of what other people are doing and what other people are choosing to tell you and to show you isn't always necessarily the truth. Sometimes people will exaggerate, or sometimes people will choose to tell you, show you about the good things, if you will. And I think for some of you, at times, you may get discouraged when it comes to working on your plans or when it comes to the progress that you are making. And your future self is saying, you make so much progress, but you don't always give yourself credit for that. And sometimes, as I was saying, you grow impatient when it comes to making the progress because it may feel like things aren't perhaps moving in the way that you'd want them to. And there is a reminder here to be patient. There is a reminder here that one step at a time, one thing at a time. You don't have to figure it all out at once. You don't have to do it all at once. That is a very important message that your future self has for you. So what your future self is saying is it's time to just do the thing. Don't worry about the immediate return because, again, what many of you are manifesting, what many of you are doing, has longer, is going to take longer because it's a bigger manifestation. And what you know you want for the future is meant for you. There's a lot of gold around you, there's a lot of abundance around you, but you have to keep seeing it through. And what you need is determination and perseverance. And as I was saying, with this Five of Wands here, do not worry about what other people are doing. Do not worry that you are that you're falling behind, because that is a myth. That is the ego self coming in and trying to confuse you, if you will, or trying to derail you. And remember, the purpose of the ego is to keep us safe. And that's what every ego wants to do. But this is saying, don't worry about what other people are doing. Don't focus on them. And for some of you, your future self is saying you may need to set boundaries with either social media or however it is that you keep up with other people. If it's not inspiring you, if it's not propelling you forward, if it's making you feel bad, if it's making you feel envious, if it's making you feel like you are not where you are meant to be, it's time to set boundaries and maybe disconnect from it for a while. And your future self is really saying that inner conflict, use it to propel you forward. Use it to move forward. This is also speaking to find ways to see the people that you admire as inspiration. Because what your future self is saying is, if somebody else can do it, why can't we? And your future self knows that you've already accomplished a lot of what you are doing. And for some of you, this has to do with career, finances, business. For others of you, this is more personal. This is even saying when you are working on your spiritual growth, on your personal growth, you don't have to worry about what other people are doing, because it's not about them. It's about you. You are on your own timetable. You are on your own clock. You don't have to compete with anyone else. And if you are feeling held down, it's time to focus inward. It's time to take yourself offline if that's what you need to do, and focus on what you can control, and again, empowering yourself. Because we also have the Six of Cups here. And the Six of Cups is all about learning from the past, and it's all about making peace with the past and building a happy future in the present, right? Because the truth is, pile number one, the past is gone. It cannot change. The present is where we create the future. The future, if we are always looking to the future, we are in a holding pattern, and we are never going to get to where we want to be. And I think for this group, part of what it is that you want and desire stems from your childhood. It stems from, it's been a long time coming. That's a big message that's coming in here as well, is embracing the things that you love and going after them. And this is also saying, make time for your loved ones. Your future self is saying it doesn't all have to be work. Make time for your loved ones. Let's look at what your future self wants you to let go of at this time. These cards are very slippery, pile number one. I'm really trying not to drop them all. For my pile number one, Spirit, what do my pile number ones need to let go of? What does my pile number one's future self want them to let go of? And bottom of the deck for that, we have the Knight of Cups. So let's see what your future self wants you to let go of, wow, okay, we have death. And we have the Queen of Cups. Okay. So, one thing that your future self wants you to let go of is, first of all, for this group, it's about leaning into your Queen of Cups energy. So this is your intuitive energy, your nurturing energy. This is about leaning in to your sensitive side, into your dreamer side, if you will. And your future self wants you to lean into peace, into comfort, into kindness, and into wisdom. And Phoebe is the goddess of intellect, and she's really here with this Queen of Cups to help you lean into your own wisdom and to trust your own wisdom. What your future self wants you to lean into is the support that is around you. And for some of you, this is going to be spiritual support and the support of the people around you. But your future self really wants you to let go of trying to control. Your future self wants you to allow yourself to operate from your intuition, from your dreams, from your desires. Some of you have been trying to think your way through, and while discernment is very important, it's not all that there is. So this is really about you leaning into the transformation that is happening for you, the transformation where you are more in tune with yourself, the transformation where you allow anything that is not in your highest and greatest good to fall away, even if it feels scary at first. And I do think for my pile number ones, for many of you, you could be going through a period of change, a period of transition, if you will. And your future self is saying, lean into that. Lean into the endings that are happening for you, because the beginnings, the new beginnings, cannot happen if you don't allow those endings to take place. And you're also being asked to really reframe how you look at anything that is not working. There's a lot of cleansing energy around you. For some of you, you have the frog as a spirit animal at this time. And if that's for you, it's going to resonate for you, and you may already know that, so that could be confirmation. But this is saying really lean into that cleanse and really lean into these unexpected changes and these things that are no longer working for you being left behind. And your future self is also saying, don't be afraid to let go of old belief systems that you know are not for you. It can be very comforting to lean into something. So for example, if you had a dream or a desire and you wanted that for a very long time, but in your gut, you know that your truth is that that would no longer be something that you want. The message here from your future self is let go of that and understand that that it's okay to change your mind and that it's okay to evolve, and that every single life experience helps us evolve. So this is all about letting go and moving on from the things that you already know you have to move on from. And also, if there are any old memories, any old ideas, because we do have the Six of Cups here, any old beliefs that you are clinging on to, again, it's time to release them and embrace the new energy. Because I think for this group specifically, whenever you come across this reading, you will be working towards a new beginning. And that can be scary, but that is also encouraging you that you are already on your way to your future self. Now, let's take a look at career advice and financial advice from your future self. So, let's do it this way. First, we have the Ace of Cups. Yeah. Then we have the Five of Cups. And then we have the Six of Swords. Yeah. The Six of Swords is the card of transition. There's a lot of transitions happening for this group. And then we have comfort with, though you are not exactly rich, you will be living comfortably. You are entering the most comfortable period in your life. Your finances are in a state of balance. Fear, overcome your fear of success or fear or failure. Don't sabotage your own success. Don't allow your fear to make you forget your greatness. Remain positive and on track. It may require you to step out of your comfort zone to achieve the abundance that you desire. And then finally, let me move this over. Parenthood with spend more time with your inner child and reconnect with that young curiosity. Your patient, nurturing, and warm nature would make you a great caregiver or parent. Don't forget to nurture and treat yourself while you work hard towards your goals. It's very interesting because a lot of these is what we've already been talking about. But let's break this down further. So for my pile number ones, when it comes to career and finances, you're already making the changes. You're already moving towards those changes, and your future self is here to encourage you. One thing that is super important for my pile number ones when it comes to career and finances is to nurture yourself, to give to yourself, to connect to your truth, to connect to your heart, and to really follow your heart's desires. For this group, whatever it is that you're going to be successful at, there's many of you, it would be hard to pinpoint what that is for every single one of you. But the theme here is that it's something that really aligns with your higher self. And it's something that also, it's kind of the cliche of, if you're doing what you love, you will never work a day in your life. That's the vibe that's coming in for this group. And you really are being encouraged to really follow your desires and to really connect with something that you love and that you enjoy doing. For some of you, this could be a career change. For others of you, this could be something that starts as like a side business, a side hustle, and takes off. And for others of you, you could already be in this career and you're working towards it. Now, we do have the Five of Cups here. And to me, the Five of Cups is speaking to just the feelings that may come up and allowing yourself to feel the things, right? Because I think for some of you, there could be some delays. And I do think, I've said this many times, I do think my pile number ones, you could be my creative piles, right? So you could be the pile where you have a job, but what you really want to do is something more on the creative side. And this is an invitation to allow yourself to do just that. And this is saying it's okay to feel the disappointments when things don't go your way, but keep going. I keep seeing for this group, for many of you, I think, there's something that you're working on that is in addition to your main source of income. And that is what you are being encouraged by your future self to continue to work at. And right now, the main theme of your reading is your future self saying, I see that you are in a transition. I see that you are in a place of endings and beginnings. Stick with it. We see the Six of Swords. Your future self is saying it's going to get better very, very soon, especially for those of you where you are either struggling to have something take off or you are struggling to really see the fruits of your labor. And for those of you that are struggling financially as well, there's comfort coming in. And this is your future self saying, you will find abundance and you will have more than enough doing what it is that you love to do in your career. Another message that's coming through, and this is very specific, only take it if it resonates, is that for someone here, if you are in a career that you love, but you are not in like maybe the place of employment that you love and you're afraid to make a move, you will find something that is more suited to you. So it could be making a move and planning for that move where it's the same thing that you're doing, but you're doing it either at a different company or for different group of people. Because I think for most of my pile number ones, you could work offering a service. And another thing coming through is if you are someone who is in the helping careers or offers some sort of, service, or you help other people, this is saying you are absolutely suited for that. And if that's something that you're wanting to do, this is your future self saying, absolutely do that. With the fear card, don't let yourself get in your way. Don't be the reason that you can't approach what it is that you want in this lifetime. Don't be the reason that you feel you can't go after your dreams. Because for this group, for my pile number ones, many of you are so close to what it is that you want in all areas of your life, but there's a fear that keeps you in place. And that can be so true for so many of us. But it really feels like for this group, what you want is right on the other side of what you fear. And you did choose, I just realized, you chose Persephone. Yeah, you are undergoing a transformation. And for many of you, you're doing a lot of shadow work at this point in time. For those of you that want to be a parent or that are parents, this is saying you will have enough to provide for your child. But again, I think for this group especially, it's more about the inner child. It's more about your heart's desires. It's more about what you wish you could do, and actually doing that thing, giving yourself permission to pursue that thing, is coming through as important. And it's okay to be afraid. That's something your future self wants you to know. It's okay to be afraid, but just still do it, because your future self is going to thank you for it. Let's take a look at love advice. Anything that wants to come through for love. Let's take a look here. Four of Wands. Two of Pentacles. We have the Chariot. Queen of Wands. We have letting go. If someone... That is not correct English. If someone leaves... Oh, wait. Yeah, if someone leaves you confused more than comforted, you need to reassess their access to you. Great advice, not only in romance, but in all areas. Deepening a relationship will finally deepen in the next few months. You have been waiting for this. And then we have make the effort. This love is worth taking risk. You are called to move forward. All right, so for the love message, this is going to kind of be split into two messages. For my singles and for the ones that are already in a connection. Let's start with those of you in a relationship, in a connection. For those of you where you are already with someone and you are already in connection, and you feel good about the connection. Let me put that in there. And you feel good about where the connection is. There's, you maybe you're working through some things, but overall you feel good. You feel confident in the connection. The message here from your future self is all about there will be progress here. We have the Four of Wands here. So for all of my pile number ones, if what you seek, whether you are single or in a relationship, is a life partner is what, if what you seek is a spouse, that is your future self is saying you're going to get that. I mean, we have the card of a wedding here, and a big milestone, and the card of marriage. Your future self, when it comes to love, is reminding you of the importance of balance. And again, for this group, balance between all areas of your life is very important, but especially the balance between working and responsibilities and having fun and enjoying yourself and making time for relationships. And I think for this group, it's not only romantic relationships that applies to, but all sorts of relationships. Your future self is saying there will be progress here. You will get to where you want to be. Especially for those of you that may feel like your relationship isn't quite progressing in the way that you'd want it to. There is a partner that will be loyal, that will be honest, that will, again, this absolutely has potential for marriage if that is what you are seeking. And for those of you in a relationship or in a connection where you know that this person is the one, if there are any issues, your I keep wanting to say higher self, your future self wants you to make the effort and really deepen the relationship and make time for that relationship, because that's what you both deserve. You both deserve to continue to grow. For my group ones that are in a connection right now that have someone, this could very well be leading up to engagement very soon. And your future self is really saying find balance between who you are in the relationship and who you are individually. Do not lose yourself. It's so important not to lose yourself in any relationship. That message is coming through. But your future self is also saying get clear about what it is that you want for your future. And that could be like, do I want to get married? Do I not? Do I want children? Do I not? Where do I see myself in this relationship in the next couple of years, in the next few years? For my singles, for those of you that are single or you're in a situation that's not working, first things first, your future self is saying stop entertaining anyone that does not have your best interest at heart. If someone is leaving you confused, they either need to get clear, or they may be part of what's falling through for you, or what's falling apart so that something else can fall together. Your future self, for those of you that are single, is really reminding you of the importance to be clear about what you want and to communicate what you want with future potential partners. It's very important for you to stand in your truth. Your future self is also saying, don't worry, we find our person. That is what's coming through here. We have the Four of Wands. We have the Queen of Wands. And one thing that's important for my pile number ones is, and even for those of you in a relationship, your person will not dim or dull your light. Your person will not make you feel bad about who you are. Your person will not in any way try to change the core of who you are. It's very different to be with someone and try to grow together and have them support that growth. It's a completely different thing to be with someone and have that person try to change you. For this group, your future self really wants you to hear the message that the right person for you is going to accept you for who you are. Your future self is also saying, for those of you that are single, make the time to date. Make the time to connect. This doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to go out there and you're going to chase someone down, or you're going to go, find your person or hunt your person down. But it does mean that, again, balance for this group is very important. So making that time, making the effort, putting yourself out there is very important. And my pile number ones, you are very independent. You are very strong. And your future self is saying your future partner is going to love and respect that about you and hold space for that. I know I said that, but it's being highlighted again. For those of you in a connection where you are happy, where it's stable, where it's working, I do think the next few months, 3 to 6 months is what I'm getting. There could be, things can be taken to the next level. You'll know if that resonates for you. And as I'm recording this, we are going towards the holiday season. For some of you, it could happen there. It could happen Valentine's Day, something along those lines. But overall, the love messages here is that you will be happy. You will find your partner if you haven't found them already. Get clear about what you want. Make space for what you want. And a reminder not to lose yourself in a relationship. And also, again, that reminder for those of you that are either with someone who is not really being clear, it's okay to speak up and say, well, where are you? This is where I'm at. But also a reminder for those of you that are single, that if it's leaving you confused, if it's not giving what it's supposed to be giving, that it is not for you. That is what your future self wants you to know. Let's take a look at, we're going to go back to the tarot. We're going to go back to shuffling on camera. Let's take a look at something to do today. So we are talking about action-based. What can you do today? Whenever you're watching this, this is what you can do today. For your future self. Something your future self wants you to do today. We're going to pick one card for this group, the Moon. And underneath the deck, we have the Seven of Swords. What you can do today, it's going to be two things. And both of those things are just about sitting with yourself. Both of those things are about connecting with yourself. For some of you, this is more about sit down, feel the feelings, do the shadow work. If it's scary, feel into it. If it's the unknown, sit with it. Sit with anything that's making you uncomfortable. And this is a two-parter. Once you sit with it, once you feel what you're feeling and allow it to come to the surface, the next step is, now that I've cleared that, now that I've sat and said, you know, yeah, those things can happen. Those things can be scary. Those things, those doubts are there. Those, you know, illusions are there. Once you sit and get past the anxiety, then what your future self wants you to do is connect to the intuition. Because what your future self is saying with this Moon card and the Seven of Swords being at the bottom of the deck is that it's time to get honest. It's time to be super honest and see things for what they are. It's time to recognize what's there. It's time to look past what is at the surface and get below. And I actually, you know what? I want to keep this card out because they both speak to the message perfectly. Your future self is saying, ask yourself where you are, what you need, and connect to your intuition. The thing is, in order for you to truly connect with that intuition, you have to do the first step. And the first step is, let me sit with the discomfort. Because for my pile number ones, what you're probably experiencing is a little bit of confusion when it comes to your intuition. And that is because there's a lot of things that are kind of being repressed. Or it may not even be repressed. It could just be that, you know, I don't want to deal with those fears. I don't want to sit with that, with those unknown ideas or with those illusions or with what could happen. And for some of you, this may be a little bit of a longer exercise where it may take a few days of you coming in and sitting down. But once you sit with it, you hold space for it. And again, for this group, the shadow work is coming in as very important. And I think some of you are actively doing shadow work. Once you sit with that, what you're going to find underneath is the answers, what you are being called to do. And it's going to be the truth. Because right now there's a lot of self-deception that is happening. There's a lot of trickery. Sorry, pile number one, if you heard that, I dropped something. There's a lot of trickery. And if that's the case, it's getting in the way of the truth coming out. It's getting in the way of you really connecting to your higher self, to your future self, to your spirit team. So that is something very practical you can do. It could be, actual shadow work. It could just be sitting with yourself. It could be meditation. However you want to approach this, that's what's coming through here. Let's take a look at a surprise that your future self has for you, something to look forward to. So something that you may not be expecting, but something that your future self, a surprise that your future self has for you. All right, Spirit, for my pile number ones, what is a surprise their future self has for them? And I'm hearing 2 cards, so we're going to pick 2 cards for this. Bottom of the deck, what do we have? The Hermit. We have the Knight of Wands. And we have the 2 of Swords. So I'm actually getting a few messages for a few of you. It's going to be different things. Pick the one that resonates. And I think for some of you, it's going to be more than one that resonates. A surprise your future self has for you is just how decisive you are going to become. It is just how sure of yourself you are going to feel on a daily basis. Where for many of you, you've experienced so much fear, and this is going to turn into power. This is going to turn into self-trust. This is going to turn into empowerment, where you see the value of who you are and you understand your strength. And I think that your future self is saying the way that we operate the way that we naturally operate is going to be so surprising for you in the best way possible. Another surprise that your future self has for you, especially with this Knight of Wands, I think is going to be the partner that you will end up with. And for those of you that are already in a relationship, this doesn't mean that it's not your person. This could be that this part of the message is not for you, but this could also be that the relationship itself is going to be adventurous, spontaneous. It's going to be kind of what you wanted. Because for my pile number ones, I do feel this Knight of Wands represents kind of adventure, spontaneity. It represents even, in a way, romance. But this is also yourself. This is also you operating from this place. And what your future self wants you to know and wants you to look forward to is the absolute power that you are going to grow into, the decisiveness that is there, and for some of you, I'm going to say this because I'm seeing it and I kind of don't want to say it because I don't want to encourage anyone, but it's here, so I'm going to say it. It's not going to be for everyone. It's probably going to be like maybe for one of you, maybe 2 of you. For some of you, there was someone that was a stalemate, that they were not stepping up to the plate. And we kind of talked about that with the confusing energy. That Knight of Wands is going to become a Queen or King of Wands, and they could be the person that you end up with. That is not going to resonate for everyone. If it resonates, take it. if not, leave it. But let's take a look at some messages here. So we have a magical spell card, and this is just from your future self, something that you could use, but also energy that you're going to be in the future. Wow. Okay. Success. Something that's true belongs to me. Something with honor, integrity. So that could be an affirmation, a spell, if you will, that you repeat to yourself. But that's something to look forward to. I actually want to do self-care. Let's do self-care that you can engage with at this time as you move forward. Read. So again, that's more about leisure. That's more about enjoying yourself. For some of you, if you are a writer, that could absolutely be confirmation, because I did get a lot of creatives in this group that people will read your book, but also read, enjoy, partake in the things that you enjoy. We have a make a vision board. I did get that a lot for this group of like, come up with a plan. Not only in general, but like in romance, in all areas of your life, make a vision board. And that could be a yearly thing that you do, like a yearly tradition of like, I'm going to make a vision board, and that way, and I'm going to put it somewhere where it stands out, and that way I can focus on it. I have a goddess energy with a message for each group, and this is going to be the goddess that can support you, but also a message. Stop. Pile number 1. Persephone. Persephone. Some of you work with Persephone. Others of you, if you feel called to, probably should work with her, especially at this time. You are in a period of transition. That's interesting. Okay. So it says dark and light, harmony exists only with contrast. So pile number 1, appreciating the contrast. It doesn't always feel good, but without the contrast, there would be no harmony. If we didn't have chaos, we wouldn't be able to appreciate peace and harmony. If we didn't have sadness, we wouldn't be able to appreciate joy and happiness. Keeping that in mind. And also, again, transition for this group. I do have a Goddess Persephone pick a card reading. I can link it in the description box below if anyone wants to check it out, because I do feel for this group, Persephone keeps coming in. Let's see what we have here. I celebrate the power of being myself, honoring my individuality, and embracing the incredible gifts that I bring to the world. That kind of sums up this reading. Let's see what else your future self has for you. I am in perfect alignment with the universe, effortlessly attracting opportunities and desired outcomes. And finally, we have, I now effortlessly and gracefully attract abundance and prosperity in exchange for my divine services. Pile number 1 for this group, claim this reading, comment butterfly in the comments below, because there is so much transformation happening. I hope this reading resonates with you. Let me know what you'd like to see next. I always look at the comments. I will always pay attention, and I do have a list of suggestions that I will eventually get to. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for allowing me to read for you. I am sending so much love, so many blessings, and we will talk soon. Bye for now. Hello, pile number 2. Welcome to your reading. This is going to be your reading if you were drawn to the Light Seer's Tarot deck, High Priestess. And as a reminder, it's a general reading. Take what resonates, leave the rest behind. You know yourself best. If it does not fit, do not force it to fit. For this reading, I did do a reading breakdown. I highly suggest you check that out. The timestamp is down below. But we are going to start by looking at your current self and your future self. And then we'll continue to get into the reading. So these 2 cards here represent your current self, and these 3 cards here represent your future self. So as always, if you don't resonate with your current self, this is probably not the reading for you, and that's okay. But let's see what we have here. Ooh, we have the elk, and we have the 3rd chakra with Archangel Chamuel. And for your future self, we have the elephant. We have the shark. And we have, ooh, the sun. Okay. So before we get started, let's go through the signs that are here, just for confirmation if that's something that you're into. So with the elk, we have the element of earth. So we have Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn being represented. With the elephant, we have the fire signs being represented. So Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. And with the shark, we have the water signs being represented with Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Why did I almost draw a blank? Okay, so let's talk about your current self, pile number 2. So your current self is quite resilient. The elk is the energy of hard work, determination. It's consistent energy. It's exactly what the earth signs are and what earth represents. It is a very grounded energy. It is very headstrong, very resilient, very stable. The elk is very supportive and very stable. This is the energy of someone who is a provider. This is the energy of someone who works very hard and who has a lot of responsibilities. Your current self is probably a bit tired, if I'm honest, because this feels like very almost heavy energy in the sense of you're probably always on the go, probably always doing what you need to do. You are probably very busy. This could be the energy of someone who has a very busy career, but also this could be someone who has multiple jobs trying to keep up. With the energy of the elk is kind of like the father archetype, if you will. So you, again, that provider energy. I provide, I show up, I do what I need to do. I am responsible, not only for myself, but there's a very good chance for this group you are responsible for other people. If it is for yourself, and it doesn't have to be other people, like you could be responsible for yourself and like pets. You could be responsible for yourself and people. It doesn't necessarily have to be a person. Like you could just be responsible for upkeeping something. There's just a lot of responsibility here that your current self carries. You're also very supportive. You are always open to supporting someone else and being there for someone else, which is appreciated. You can be very stoic at times. This is someone who you're there if someone needs advice. You're there if someone needs more practical help. Like if a friend is moving or they need to get to the airport, they're going to call my pile number 2s because you're reliable. If you say you're going to do something, you do it. Your word means a lot. Your word is just everything to you. You are very honest. You are someone that integrity matters to you. You act from a place of integrity no matter what is happening. You do not like shortcuts. You're also someone who understands the need for hard work and who understands the beauty of hard work. As I was saying, my pile number 2 is you're very consistent. Some of you have a very set routine, like your day-to-day is very set. There's like a set routine, whether that is you get up and go to work, whatever that is, there's a set routine. What's interesting about my pile number 2s is your current self is also very creative, but I don't necessarily think that you always have time or energy to invest in your creative endeavors. Because we have Archangel Chamuel here. And Archangel Chamuel is really coming up. To me, we're talking about the 3rd chakra, right? So we're talking about creativity. We are talking about willpower. And you are very, very sure of yourself. You are very, as I said, stable. We went over that. But you know who you are and who you want to be. But I don't think you always have the time to invest in the things that you want to do. And most of it is because you're so busy. Some of you are very tired. Some of you could be very overwhelmed. Because we have the solar plexus here being represented. And we have that 3 plus 7 in numerology is 10. So you are in the middle of transition for some of you, where you're closing some cycles in your life and you're approaching others. And I think for many of my pile number 2s, abundance is something that you've been focusing on, because for my pile number 2, some of you know that you don't want to have to work this hard for the rest of your life. This could be a pile where you're very focused on the future, which would explain why you're here, right? We're doing an interview with the future self. But overall, your current self has a lot of responsibilities. Your current self is very stable. Your current self is very resilient. Your current self is very headstrong. And your current self is a provider. Your current self is someone who does what needs to be done. And you could be in a place of exploring more of your wants and likes and needs, and your creativity. But for some of you, there's not so much time for that because of all that you're dealing with. Now, let's talk about your future self. Because the energies for your future self are similar, but also very different from your current self. Because we start with the elephant, and the elephant is one of the most majestic animals in the animal kingdom. It is, the elephant is wise. The elephant is also kind of like the elk, very sturdy, very secure. Very focused. The elephant carries the energy of love. There's a very big loving energy to it. And especially in this deck, the elephant is a very auspicious figure. And the elephant is very closely related to Ganesh and good fortune. One thing about the elephant is that it destroys the obstacles, right? Because it can. It's so big, it can really just walk through any obstacles. And your future self is someone who is not stuck. And I feel like there is a level to your current self that may feel stuck at times, or that may find it hard to break free. And what's beautiful here is that your future self has worked through so many obstacles. Your future self is abundant. Your future self is able to live a very abundant life. Your future self is also gentle, right? Because what's beautiful about the elephant is that the elephant is a big animal, but it can be a very gentle animal, especially when you look at the size. Your future self has cleared the path, and your future self is more confident than probably you are at this point with the elk here, because the elk, it's more of, I have to get things done and I'm going to push through, but it can be more of a responsibility. Like the elk comes from a place of responsibility, where the elephant is just blessed. The elephant is confident. The elephant is the elephant is connected to higher self, to higher sources. Your future self has a lot of self-knowledge, a deeper level of self-understanding that your future self operates under. And what's interesting is that with the shark here, your future self is also very direct. Your future self is able to communicate their wants and needs without necessarily feeling guilty. And I think that that's something that the current self may struggle with, especially when it comes to having boundaries. Your future self is very, very much connected to instinct and intuition. So your future self is able to kind of predict trends and get ahead of certain situations. Your future self is very honest. And I think that your current self is also very honest. But I don't know that your current self voices as much of what is being felt as much as your future self. Your future self is very authentic. This is a future self that has embraced authenticity, vulnerability. But what's interesting is that this future self is vulnerable, but this future self is also very strong and secure within who they are. This is someone who, as I was saying with the elephant energy, we have the sun energy here as well, has unlocked abundance and prosperity. This future self is very much in tune with their emotions, very much in tune with the messages that are being received. Because I do feel for my pile number 2s, you're very clairsentient. And your future self is quite tuned in. Because the current self feels like sometimes there is no time to tune in. Or there's almost this level of being so grounded in reality that it can be hard to trust the messages that are coming in. Your future self knows how to walk away from situations that are not meant for them. Whereas I think your current self will try to continue to push forward even after knowing that maybe that's not the right answer, where it may take you a little bit longer to walk away. Your future self is more willing to trust their instincts and their intuition and say, maybe this isn't for me, so I'm going to walk away from this. Your future self has a lot of hobbies or things that they enjoy to do. And your future self really experiences a lot of joy and gratitude in the present moment. This is a future self that is very grounded in the present. And I feel like your current self can sometimes struggle to ground in the present moment and maybe focused on the future. Your future self has some sort of creative outlet that's coming up here. And one thing that's really coming through is that your future self is really comfortable with their feelings, with their emotions. Like there's a lot of comfort here in feeling the feelings and making space to feel the feelings. I will say a big difference between the current and the future self is, again, the ability to be in the present moment and having time to be in the present moment. Let's get started. We are going to shuffle on camera and we're going to look at what your future self wants you to focus on right now. Spirit, for my pile number 2s, what does their future self want them to focus on? What does my pile number 2's future self want them to focus on? Breaking free, transitioning. There may be a mental struggle of like maybe not necessarily seeing a way out. Rest as well, creating more balance, creating more time for rest. But let's see here. Spirit, for my pile number 2s, what does their future self want them to focus on at this time? It's going to be these two. Bottom of the deck, Ace of Swords. 3 of Swords, yeah. King of Cups. One thing that your future self wants you to focus on at this time, pile number 2, there's actually a few things, but we're going to start with the first and foremost. Your future self really wants you to focus on the present moment, and your future self wants you to sit with where you are currently at. For my pile number 2s, you are so used to doing what needs to be done, to carrying the responsibilities. I think this is a group which you can actually be a little bit too grounded in reality, if that makes sense, where it can be harder for you to look and imagine and connect to a bigger picture than it is for you to be in the thick of where you are. So this is a group where instead of, ground yourself, I think for you it's more of connect to the third eye, connect to your imagination, and imagine what could be. And what your future self wants you to focus on is your well-being, taking care of yourself, holding space for yourself. And as I said at the beginning, I do see that for this group that can be hard, because I think that you have so much going on that it can be very hard for you to carve out time to do what it is that you need to do. And for my pile number 2s, your future self really wants you to practice self-care and self-love and do what you need to do for yourself. And this isn't necessarily the type of self-care that says, I'm going to light a candle and, I'm going to feel better by doing that. That could absolutely be part of it. But this is also, taking care of yourself by making sure that you're getting enough sleep, by making sure that you're drinking enough water, by making sure that you're getting the checkups, by making sure that you are setting boundaries with yourself where they are needed. For this group, your future self really wants you to slow down a bit. And this is the energy of slow down and smell the coffee. Slow down and smell the roses, right? And your future self, especially with these Ace of Swords at the bottom of the deck here. Yeah, look at this here. Your future self is saying, because once you are able to sit with where you are at, once you are able to slow down and once you are able to feel what's coming up, what happens is that you create space for your clarity to come in. Because it does feel that your current self is seeking clarity, your current self is seeking answers, and your future self is saying those answers, that clarity is already there, but it's very hard to access it based on where you are at. And if you focus on being where you are at, sitting with yourself where you are at, holding space for yourself where you are at, it's almost like getting rid of all of the debris and letting that debris settle, right? And what is the debris? The debris is this Three of Swords energy, this pain, this heartbreak, this exhaustion for some of you, this on the go. Because for some of my pile number 2s, you are so much on the go that some of you recognize that if you slow down, you are probably going to be burnt out. So it's like, I just keep going. But what your future self is saying is that's exactly what needs to happen. Not the burnout, but the slowing down and the sitting with where you are at in order for the clarity that you seek to come through. Because there's something that you're not quite seeing and it's right there, but you're not quite having that clarity come through. Because there's so much chaos and there's so much busy work. There's a lot of, this is a group where you're busy, you are on the go. Let's take a look at what you need to let go of. What does your future self want you to let go of? Spirit, for my pile number 2s, what do my pile number 2s need to let go of? What do my pile number 2s future self want them to let go of? And for some of you, you already know what you need to let go of. You know what? We'll take all 3. 2 of Cups. Bottom of the deck, what do you need to let go of? Queen of Cups. Yeah, 8 of Swords. Justice. So, for my pile number 2s, what needs to be released at this time? What you can let go of, what you can move away from. Again, there's a need to hold space and connect to your emotions, connect to your feelings, connect to where you are at in the process. That keeps coming through for this group. But there's also a need to really look at your beliefs around where you are at, what's possible and what's not possible for you, especially with this Eight of Swords here, because this Eight of Swords is saying, this is your future self saying, we are not a victim. There are circumstances right now that are not ideal. However, we can find a way out. And how does your future self know? Because your future self has been through it, and your future self knows the outcome. Your future self is saying it's time to look at the stories that you are telling yourself, or even the past experiences that you've been through that you feel are going to repeat themselves. And the thing about confirmation bias is that it works in a way where, you know, once something happens, our brain, our ego takes it as truth, and it tries to continuously reinforce that idea. So if I believe I have to work very hard or I'm not going to get anywhere, ego is going to reinforce that idea. If I believe that there is no one that is willing to help me or support me, ego is going to reinforce that idea. And it's going to show you, you know what, this is truth, and we're not going to get hurt again. And in order for us to not get hurt again, in order for me to keep you safe, I need to continuously reinforce this idea. And your future self is saying, it's time to break free. It's time to break the shackles. It's time to let go of certain stories. And for my pile number 2, these stories really do have to do, for most of you, with things that cannot be done or how things need to be done. And for some of you, there's a belief that you have to work incredibly hard in order to get to where you need to be. And for this group, something to really consider is work smarter, not necessarily harder. That is a lesson that I think my pile number 2s are learning at this time. And we also have this Justice card, right? And I would be very mindful for this pile, especially what you attribute to this is karma, or this is the universe, or this is just the way things are. Because there may be a story or a belief around that is coming through. And what your future self really wants you to let go of is the past. It's time to shed the past and understand that just because something didn't work out at some point in the past, it doesn't mean it cannot work out at this point in time. Sometimes the timing is not right, and that doesn't mean that if you try again at a different time, it won't be the right time or it can't work. Your future self is also saying a big thing for this group is embrace the emotions, feel the feelings. Don't suppress or try to control how you are feeling. Allow, and this doesn't mean that you are going to act on every emotion. But this means that you can take the time to say, fear, I see you, I hear you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the message. You don't have to believe it, but you have to acknowledge that it's there, especially because there are very big emotions that you feel. And another thing that your future self is saying is it's time to work on insecurity and build self-confidence. So let's take a look at career and financial advice from your future self. So career and finances, let's see what your future self has to say. We have the Eight of Wands. We have the Death card. That looks creepy on camera. And we have the Nine of Wands. Yeah, this is a group. You work very hard. Let's see what else we have here. Outlook with improve your relationship with money to help grow your wealth. You have conflicting values that impose negativity on your values around money. Change behavior and develop better money habits. Say yes to the things you think you can't do. Yeah. We have science. There is something unfolding for you. Work with an open mind. Consider careers in science or any job that unravels the mystery of the universe. Apply a scientific approach to your business or financial problem. And then we have media. Step into the spotlight and get seen. Don't allow your talent to go unnoticed. A career in television, radio, magazine, or any mass media job might be perfect for you. It might be time to get more publicity if you want to increase your finances. Is that still okay? All right, so let's talk about it. Pile number 2. Your future self really recognizes how hard you work. And your future self understands that you're always on the go and that you're always doing what needs to be done. But I kind of got this message earlier of we need to work smarter, not necessarily harder. There are things for my pile number 2s that I think you would excel at that you maybe not fully give yourself the chance to. And this say yes to the things that you think you can't do is so much more than just career and finances. But it definitely also applies to career and finances. For my pile number 2s, a big thing that's coming through is it may be time to really sit with where you are at and look at, especially with finances, look at your finances and where you can maybe cut some things, where you can plan better for the future. That's coming through. This is also saying if you're already working on something and you don't feel like, let's say my pile number 2s, you're an entrepreneur and you have your own business. You got to put yourself out there. People can't buy something if they don't know you offer it. So you got to put yourself out there. This could also even be marketing yourself and networking yourself and reaching out to people. Like, let's say you don't have a business, you're not an entrepreneur, but you have a career and you're looking to expand. You can talk to people that you've worked with that are in your same field, or maybe people that aren't even in your field, and talk to them about possibly growing, expanding, and moving into better opportunities, and to see if they can help you find better opportunities. This is also speaking to some self-perceived limitations that are happening here. And I think that this can be a theme with my pile number 2s. And I said this, I feel like this is the pile where you don't necessarily struggle with grounding yourself because you're so grounded in the reality of things, where it's more of you may struggle with bringing yourself out of that and looking at the possibilities. So this is also talking to, it's time to do things differently in some area of your life when it comes to career and finances. What that is going to look like for each of you is going to be different based on your current circumstances, but it's time to expand and grow in a different way than what you've been doing. So for my pile number 2s, someone here may make something with like maybe graphic design. I want to mention these because these are coming through very strongly. You could be media. Obviously, graphic design could potentially fall under that, but you could have like, maybe you want to start a social media presence. Do it. Say yes to the things that you can't do, and you're going to figure it out as you go along. It's good to have a plan, an overall plan, but you won't be able to know every single step until you start doing it. Think about something that you were new at once, where now it's a second nature to you. Some of you could make something, I don't know why I'm seeing like stickers, maybe t-shirts, maybe you do like signs for businesses. There's something about like something graphic design, or that could be an interest that you have. Some of you could have some sort of art that you would offer. Some of you could make something. There's something about making something here, but it's like a product for some of you. Put that out there, get that into the universe. But overall, the career and finance advice from your future self is keep going, but readjust, realign. It's time to look at the bigger picture and figure out how you can tweak it in a way that works for you so that you are not completely burnt out. If you've been thinking about putting yourself out there for something, this is the time to say yes to that thing. Put yourself out there. Do that thing. If you have a business, even if you don't have a business, market, network, put yourself out there, put your intentions out there. There could be someone that could absolutely potentially help you. If you are struggling with money, get back down to basics. Also, beliefs around money and what you can make, what you can do with money, very important with this Outlook card. But for some of you, it's time to really do a budget as well. And things will improve, but this is just the advice for right now when you're watching this. Let's go into love advice from your future self. Six of Swords, Queen of Pentacles, Seven of Wands, the Hanged Man. Then we have true love. This is the romance of a lifetime. True and lasting love is here for you. Separation, time apart from your partner is on the horizon. Pay attention to the red flags. Know the warning signs of what an unhealthy connection looks like. And take a leap of faith. Only when you're willing to step out of your comfort zone will you reap great rewards. Pile number 2, let's talk about it. So we're going to kind of break this message into two. It's going to be for those of you that are in a connection, in a relationship, and those of you that are single and not in any sort of connection. For those of you that are in a connection, if you're currently undergoing a separation, your future self wants you to know that this does not mean that you will end up alone. And if you are in a connection that is not, it doesn't feel great, it's not giving you what you need it to give you, and you're unsure, you may be, and you may be considering taking a little bit of a break. This is your future self saying, yes, absolutely, do what you need to do. Again, we will find the right person. You don't have to worry about that, but you do need to take care of yourself in the now. Your future self, for those of you that are in a relationship and that relationship feels like it is good, stable, everything is good, this is kind of just confirming what you already know, which is things are working out. But if I'm honest, I think for most of my pile number 2s that are watching this, you kind of either fall into you're in a relationship that may be having some issues, or you are completely single. So again, for those of you that are in the relationship and things aren't just going according to plan, do not ignore the red flags. Look at what is in front of you. See things for what they are. Do not put on rose-colored glasses. And if you need to take a step back, feel like do it. Trust yourself. Trust what you know. For those of you that recently went through a breakup, the message here is that this separation will lead you to your true love, to your person. Now, for some of you, it could be that the person that you're separated from, they kind of just, I hate to say it this way, but they grow up in a way and they come back and they do what they need to do. But if that's the case, the red flags that were there you would see the growth, you would see the change in their actions, not just their word. For those of you that are single, or for those of you that are in a separation with someone who you are not probably going to work things out with, this is a message from your future self. And I think for some of you that are in a separation, you're moving away from this. You're moving away from someone. You are closing the chapter on someone. And that connection taught you how to set boundaries and how to spot the red flags earlier on, and how to spot what you don't need and what you don't want in a relationship, in a connection. And if you are single at this time, and you are single by choice, and you are single because you're taking your time to heal, you are taking your time just to do whatever it is that you want to do, your future self is saying it's okay. Don't worry. Don't feel like you have to force yourself to get out there before you are ready. I think for some of you, there could be some concerns. And for some of you, what you are focused on right now is being more stable and healing and growing your own fortune and your own security and stability. Now, your future self is also speaking to true love. And for those of you that are completely single, not attached to anyone, this is speaking to someone is coming in for you. And this someone is going to be the right person for you. Again, a reminder, have your boundaries, be confident in yourself, know what you deserve. And this is your future self saying, like, the type of relationships that were not working, those red flags, we move past it, we move away from it, and we welcome in someone who does meet our requirements, our expectations, and what it is that we need. But your future self is also reminding you that once you are ready, take the leap of faith, put yourself out there, get to know people. And especially for those of you where if you have been in a connection with someone and it's been on and off, and that person isn't really growing, evolving, changing, and they're not showing you what you need to see in order to feel comfortable to grow and to move forward with that person, put yourself out there and meet other people. That's a very important message. And for those of you that were in a connection with someone and you come back in contact with that person and they're being different, the relationship is going to be completely different from what it was when the red flags were present, when things weren't working out. Because again, that person would show you the change. They would show up with a very different energy, and you would be able to see the growth that's happening for them. Let's take a look at something that you can do for your future self at this time. Like something practical that you can do that your future self wants you to do. Spirit, for my pile number 2s, what is something their future self wants them to do today? What is something my pile number 2's future self wants them to do today? Bottom of the deck, we have the 8 of Cups. Yeah, choose yourself. Love yourself. I'm actually going to keep that 8 of Cups out. Choose yourself. Love yourself. Walk away from what you need to walk away from. A big message for you, pile number 2, is that sometimes we invest time, energy, money, resources. Sometimes we put our body, mind, spirit into something and it works for a while. And then it doesn't. And that can be a very painful experience. That can be a very hard experience to go through. But it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to course correct. It's okay to say, this is no longer for me. It served its purpose at one time, but this person, relationship, career, idea, way of being, whatever it is, fill in the blank, is no longer for me. Let's take a look at what else we have. The 10 of Cups, the Ace of Swords. So what your future self wants you to do today, something that you can practically put into action today. For some of you, this is about writing out your ideas. Doing some brainstorming, writing out your ideas, writing out your desires, your needs, your wants. Do a brainstorming session. That is something practical that you can do today whenever you're watching this video that your future self wants you to do. This could be financial planning as well. For some of you, this could be sitting down and coming up with a budget. For others of you, again, writing down your ideas. For others of you, journaling, throwing all of your thoughts and feelings onto paper and then releasing it, sending it to your higher self, sending it to your angels, to your guides, sending it out into the universe. Kind of dumping and getting rid so that way your mind gets going. For this group, there's something about like actually writing it out or typing it out. Like it's one thing to have it in your mind, but I think for this group, you would benefit from actually putting it out onto paper and putting it out into the universe. For this group, your future self also wants you to find more joy, more gratitude, more moments of happiness in your everyday life. And that can be hard when there is a lot going on, but your future self is really saying, I really want this for you. I really want you to enjoy some of these moments because the present is super important. We can't put everything off into the future. So finding those moments where you can connect with loved ones, finding those moments where you can do something that's going to bring you joy and happiness and fulfillment, finding those moments where you can connect maybe with your inner child even, or again, connect with other people that you love, connect with your spirit guides. That is something your future self wants you to do. And I'm getting that by putting something down on paper, there's going to be clarity that comes through with that. Like for this group, a very practical advice coming through from your future self is journaling, whether that is like a phone app, whether that is pen and paper, or like something you do on a computer. That's coming through very strongly. And as I said, with the 8 of Cups, choosing yourself, practicing self-love, putting yourself first wherever you can is also something that your future self wants you to do. We are going to look at a surprise your future self has for you. So something that you can look forward to for your future, something that your future self knows, something that you can look forward to. Spirit, for my pile number 2s, what is something their future self wants them to look forward to? This is kind of just a beautiful surprise that awaits you in the future. Bottom of the deck, what do we have? The Empress. Wow. All right, so since I see the Empress, I'm going to leave it out. So since I see the Empress, and I want to show you underneath that Empress was the 4 of Wands. This is the card of marriage, celebration, milestones. So for some of you where you want to get married, you want to have a family, whatever that definition of a family for you is, that's confirmation from your future self it's going to happen. But for my pile number 2s, it's so much more than that. This is your future self saying, the best is yet to happen. Things are hard right now, and I think for most of my pile number 2s, things can be very hard right now, but your future self is saying something to look forward to is all of the abundance, all of the happiness, all of the joy, all of the creativity that awaits you. And creativity, especially for this group, I really feel that doesn't have to be, drawing, painting, writing, music. For this group, this is just what you will literally create into the world. Let's take a look at what else we have here. 3 of Pentacles, 10 of Pentacles. Yeah. Your future self is saying something that is going to surprise you, something that you can look forward to, is how much spiritual, emotional, physical, monetary abundance you will have. This is a group where also if you're struggling to find your soulmates, not just in the romantic sense, but like the people that you feel close and connected to, your future self is saying those people are there, those people you are going to connect with, and those people await you. This is your tribe. Your future self wants you to look forward to joy, happiness, lightheartedness, peace, harmony. Your future self wants you to look forward to the life that you desire to live, especially as it relates to others. Your future self wants you to look forward to success and to building a legacy, because pile number 2, you will build a legacy. And for many of my pile number twos, that legacy is going to be for future generations. And if you already are a parent or you have children, just know that there is so much happiness here for all of you. And your future self is also saying there's community. You're gonna find your people. You're going to find the people that you connect with. And that there is no limitations to what you can manifest. We have the Three of Pentacles, the Ten of Pentacles, and the Empress, with a notable mention of the Four of Wands down there as to what you can look forward to. This is abundance in all its forms. And for my pile number twos, this is also ease. This is also being able to relax, being able to take some time off and enjoy yourself, because that's not something that you can always do. I love that for you, pile number two. Let's take a look at, let's start here. So this is a magical spell card. This is the energy to look forward to, but this is also kind of an affirmation or spell, if you will, that you can use at this time. Let's see what we have here for you. Beauty. I have a form which is divine. I allow what is within to shine. And you know what, pile number two? That takes courage, and that's what you're building up at this time. And also the number 4 there, numerology, is all about the foundations, right? And that's what you're doing. You're going to build legacy foundations. For this group, we have 2 self-care cards, and this is self-care that you can engage with at this time, especially as you move into and become your future self. Take a walk. So really movement, right? Walking. And they do say, pile number 2, that movement, daily movement, can absolutely help you not only live a longer life, but also clear your mind. So I really like that is what came out for you, because I think that this group, any sort of movement, but it can be as simple as taking a walk daily, would be so helpful. And then we have connect with crystals. So for this group, working with crystals, any crystals that you are drawn to, malachite is coming up for me, pyrite, amethyst, fluorite. I'm getting, for this group, like the pink, purple stones, anything that can connect you to your third eye, crown chakra, would be very helpful. Anything that can connect you to your imagination would be very helpful. I also have a goddess energy for you, pile number 2. And this is a goddess that you can work with. This is also just a general message, but a goddess that you can work with to connect to your future self. And we have Hecate here with solitude, and it says, simplify your thoughts, give yourself space. Not everything needs to be done right now. Powerful message here. Pile number 2, I do have a messages from the goddesses series, and I believe, yes, Hecate was already done. So if you want to go listen to that, I can link it down below. All right, let's see. Last messages from your future self. I choose to release patterns of fear, allowing love, peace, and joy to fully permeate and enrich every aspect of my life. Then we have, I radiate the energy of truth, and it brings clarity, understanding, and harmony to my interactions and attract genuine relationships. And the final message, every day I become more spontaneous and playful, and I allow myself to fully embrace and live the best version of my life. Pile number 2, that's exactly what this is. Pile number 2, comment down below, claim this. Use the word playful. You're going to claim this by being more playful, by being more lighthearted, and by being more spontaneous. This is a group where connect to your imagination. You've got the hard work part down. Lighten it up. Lift yourself up. Pile number 2, thank you for allowing me to read for you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let me know what else you'd like to see next in the comment section below. Thank you so much for allowing me to read for you. I am sending so much love, so many blessings, and we will talk soon. Bye for now. Hello, pile number 3. Welcome to your reading. This is going to be your reading if you were drawn to the High Priestess card from the Little Wizard's Tarot, and this is Professor Trelawney from Harry Potter. So I did do a reading breakdown, and it's linked in the description below. As a reminder, it's a general reading. Take what resonates, leave the rest behind. You know yourself best. If it does not fit, do not force it to fit. But also, check out the reading breakdown. We are going to start the reading by looking at your current self, and we are going to look at your future self. And for this group, you did have additional cards come out for the future self, so very curious to see that. But if you don't resonate with the current self, then this is probably not your pile. You can try a different pile, or you can, maybe this reading just doesn't have a message for you. But let's get started. Tiger. And 4th chakra, Archangel Raphael, which is the heart chakra. Then for your future self, we have the Firefly. We have, spider. We also have the Temple Path and the Garden and the Gate. And let's do that for now. I may have to move those around, like I said. You got extra cards. So let's talk about the signs before we jump in. We have the tiger, and the tiger represents the fire sign. So we have Aries, Leo, Sagittarius here being represented. We also have Earth being represented with Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, and we have air being represented with Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. You don't have to be any of those signs for the messages to resonate, but I know people enjoy talking about it and kind of getting confirmation from the signs. So there they are. We have a little bit of everything. We don't really have any water in this group. So let's talk about your current self, pile number 3, because you are being represented by the tiger, and that is one badass animal to be represented by. So your current self is quite passionate. You are also very creative. You are someone who is very focused on what it is that you want to create, and you are able to create the things that you want to create. It is very important for you to be in alignment, not only with your heart chakra, but with your crown chakra. That feels very important for this group. You are very divinely guided. This is a group where you have a lot of spirit guides, a lot of angels, a lot of spirit animals. Divine guidance is here for you. You have a lot of desires, a lot of different, this could be hobbies, interests, I guess you can say. And one thing that you may struggle with currently, with this being your current state, is that sometimes you get overstimulated. But at the same time, there's just so much. I'm almost getting like so many things, so little time. That's the energy that you're giving off, pile number 3. And you are very in touch with the moon cycles. I do feel that for my pile number 3. I do feel you are very aware of not only the moon cycles, but your own cycles and how they affect you. And I think that that's why this tiger has that moon there. It represents your closeness to the moon. For this group, and I know I didn't mention Cancer, but for some of you, you could be a Cancer moon. Cancer in the 4th house, which would make you an Aries rising. You could also have Cancer in the 10th house. So for my pile number 3s, you are also very devoted to the things that matter to you, to the people that matter to you. My pile number 3s, there's something very sensual about you. Anytime I see any of the cats show up, there's sensuality. There's something that is very graceful about you, even when you don't try to be. For this group, currently you are probably going through a little bit of a dark night of the soul, but you're finding your way out. You are moving through it quite powerfully, if I'm honest. And many of you are finding your center, finding your truth. So this could be a time of realignment. This could be a time of just going within. For some of you right now, you could be in a little bit of a hermit mode, and you could be doing healing work, whether that is shadow work, whether that is inner child healing, whether that is developing your spiritual gifts. I do feel this group has, again, a powerful connection to the moon. So if you're trying to manifest something, there is a strong message coming in about using the moon cycles to manifest it. You are very connected to your heart chakra, and you have a lot of things that you love and that you are currently still developing. You could see 1111 quite a bit, especially lately for my pile number threes. For some of you, you could be a fellow tarot reader, oracle cards. You could just be someone who has the gift of clairvoyance. Yeah, this is a very clairvoyant group. For my pile number threes, you are connecting to the power of who you are, and you are embracing your confidence and your self-worth a lot more than you previously were. And this is something that you're constantly working at this point in time. You're very strong, very courageous. And there's something here about you are now following your heart. And I don't think that was always the case. For some of you, you do have a strong connection to Archangel Raphael. I'm also getting Archangel Gabriel here. This is a time of a lot of spiritual growth for this group. For some of you, you are more connected to your ancestors than you ever were. Now let's talk about your future self, because there's a lot here. Your future self is quite inspired, quite creative. We have the firefly and the spider. There is so much creativity for your future self. And for some of you, this could be you actually doing something creative. And I will say, with the spider and the firefly, this could be writing, whether it's writing a book, writing a blog, writing, I don't know, a screenplay. There's something here about writing for this group that can be very important, especially for your future self. But your future self is radiant. We have the firefly here, which is all about radiance, and it's all about illumination. Your future self is operating from a place of high frequency. And what I will say for my pile number threes is that so is your current self. This is also a version of you that is operating from your higher self. The future self, though, is so connected. It's even more connected than your current self. So your future self has gone through an awakening, and I think that is what you're currently in the middle of. I don't feel like this is necessarily the beginning of your awakening, but I do feel that you are in the middle of it, and your future self is on the other side of this awakening. For my pile number threes, there's something very creative about your future self. Poetry could be very important here. For some of you, it could be, I said writing, but it could also be like spiritual writing, where maybe you are sharing your experience, or you are a spiritual teacher where you are putting out books. Some of you could be creating like tarot decks, oracle decks. Some of you could be into astrology and doing some of that work as well. But your future self is very prosperous, and your future self is living your life path. Like, your future self is living their purpose. Your future self is doing the thing. Like, you will be living your purpose. And there's a lot of enthusiasm here, and I really think that for your future self, the enthusiasm is because you are in alignment not only with who you wanted to be, but also with your higher self. Like, this is a very spiritual, divinely guided group. And I think that that's why the temple path is here as well, because you are guided and you are finding a path forward that helps you live out not only your dreams, but your dharma. Whatever it is that you were here to accomplish, you will be doing, pile number 3. And one thing about your future self is that your future self is financially stable, spiritually stable, emotionally stable, mentally stable. This is a beautiful energy to have. Your future self has things that your current self can only dream of and things that you haven't even thought of just yet. Your future self is booked and busy. That's really what I'm hearing. Like, this is booked and busy energy, where if you offer something, like if you offer a service, you have the clients. If you do something creative, like let's say you write the books are selling. You have publishers coming to you for more. That's the energy that's coming here. And I think for some of you currently, you may struggle with like creative blocks from time to time. Your future self is not dealing with that. Your future self is like tuned in. I almost get like somebody in like a cabin writing a book and they're just like enjoying their creativity. There's so much creativity here. And again, this doesn't necessarily have to be about writing a book. This doesn't necessarily have to be about doing something creative. But whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is that you desire, it's flowing, and it's flowing in a way that feels very creative. Your future self has an abundance of energy. This is not a future self. Like, you're not growing tired because you love what you're doing and because you have an abundance of energy, because you also know how to take care and maintain your energy. Your future self is very much in tune with the process. This is not a future self that is focused on the outcome. This is a future self that is enjoying the journey to get to the outcome. Your future self is kind of like a magician. Some of you are going to really be stepping into like witch energy. This could also be high priestess energy. This could be like a monk energy. I mean, we do have the temple there. This is a very spiritual path. And even if you're not doing anything spiritual like for a living, you are in a spiritual path where you are in alignment and there is a certain level of ease that you experience. Now, that's not to say that you won't experience hardship, because that's part of life. But this is to say that you're in alignment. You are where you're meant to be, and you can recognize that. And there's a level of magic to your work. Whatever, like, if you take anything from this reading about your future self, let it be that whatever it is that you're going to choose to do for a living, what's going to give you your bread and butter, is going to be something that feels almost magical and it's in alignment with your higher self. And that's a beautiful thing. Different things for different people, and we will be looking at career shortly, but that's what's coming through. I will also say your future, 3 and 3. 3 is the number of creativity. For some of you, your future self does something where they may, like, you may do some sort of public speaking. But again, this could just be, I'm writing the book, I am sharing my story. But there's something about writing, speaking, sharing. Gemini energy can be very strong. Look in your 3rd house as well to see what's in your 3rd house, and look at where your Mercury is at, pile number 3, because that may give you some clues. And look at your North Node as well, because I think that there's something here that you're meant to do and excel at, and you're already on the path. I really want to emphasize this group is on the path to this. Pile number 3, let's look at what your future self wants you to focus on right now. let's take a look at what your future self wants you to focus on right now. What is the focus for my pile number 3s? It's gonna be these two. Bottom of the deck energy, we have Knight of Wands. Yeah. Focus on what inspires you. Focus on what lights your soul up. Focus on what makes you feel good. Let's see what else we have here. Two of Wands. 10 of Pentacles. Pile number 3. I actually am going to keep this Knight of Wands out with Mr. Harry Potter there. But pile number 3. What your future self wants you to focus on at this time is the things that make you happy, the things that make you feel inspired. This is truly a message of follow your inspiration, follow your curiosity, follow what gets your creativity going. And if you're struggling through a creative block, this is the time to experiment with other things. Your future self is also saying, regardless of what area in your life you may be feeling a bit stuck or a bit stagnant, it's time to shake it up. Step out of the comfort zone, do something different. And I think for many of you, it's going to come down to two things. For many of you, this comes down to either a spiritual practice, where let's say that you have a regular routine where maybe you do, let's say you do a full moon ritual every full moon. And maybe you meditate 2 times a week. This is saying shake it up. Maybe it's time to start doing some candle magic. Maybe it's time to start looking into the new moon. Maybe it's time to do a spiritual bath. Maybe it's time to learn about different spiritual traditions. Step out of the comfort zone, step out of what you know. This is a time for growth. This is a time for expansion for my pile number 3s. Because what I think is going to happen is that, again, this process has already started for you, but I really do feel for my pile number 3s, you are going to be unlocking something, and it's kind of like you stumble upon it, where you find something that you are either passionate about, you find something that you resonate with, but it's almost like you accidentally come upon this thing because what you were doing was not giving what it was supposed to be giving. And that's not to say that you have to completely change what you're doing, but again, kind of expand, come out of the comfort zone, try something new, be curious, and follow your curiosity, follow your inspiration, be adventurous. This is the time to try something different, especially when it comes to, because I think for many of my pile number 3s, you have some sort of project that is ongoing, that is meant to bring you help, that is meant to bring you prosperity in some way that you want to grow. Again, I'm going to keep using the book example because I do think we have a lot of writers in this group. If you are writing a book and you are feeling stuck, it's not about giving up on it or walking away from it, but maybe it's about, let me write a short story, let me go into a different genre, let me write a different type of work. Again, it's about exploration, it's about possibilities. Your future self really wants you to focus on the possibilities and stepping out of that comfort zone and going on new adventures and the choices that you have. Because for my pile number 3s, right now, there are so many choices available to you. And you may not necessarily be aware of that, but you have so many opportunities and choices available to you at this time. And it's completely up to you if you want to engage in them. And this is also saying, follow the things that are going to make you feel fulfilled. What makes you feel wealthy? And I'm not just talking about finances, right? But what truly makes you feel good? What truly makes you feel satisfied? Follow those things, discover what that is, and do more of that is what's coming through here as well. Because right now there are opportunities that you may not even be aware of that are available to you. And for some of you, you're sitting out. You are kind of just going with the flow, doing the regular routine. It's time to break it up. It's time to do something different. Now, let's take a look at what your future self wants you to let go of. So what does your future self want you to let go of? And this is for my pile number 3s. These cards are very hard to shuffle, pile number 3. For my pile number 3s, what does my pile number 3's future self? There we go. I will fix those in a minute. For my pile number 3s, what does your future self want you to let go of? Let's look at the bottom of the deck again. The Four of Wands. And let's see what we have here. Page of Wands. Queen of Pentacles. Let go of the routine. Let go of feeling like there's only one way to do something. There's something new that wants to be explored by my pile number 3s. And I think for many of you, you know exactly what that is. You know exactly what you're being called to do, but it's almost like you're holding yourself back. And you're holding yourself back. Like for some of you, this could even be like, I'm considering a career change, but I'm holding myself back because if I do that, then I have to start all over. And I'm not necessarily sure that I want to do that. It's also about letting go of anxiety around creativity. That's something that's coming through as well. There's a level of anxiety around your creativity and procrastination around creativity. Your future self is saying, do it wrong, right? I'm saying wrong. I'm not actually saying that, but if you don't think you can do something 100% perfectly, do it anyways. Do it in whatever way you have to do it in order to get it done, in order to get it started. This is also about being more intentional with your energy and making sure that you are investing your time and energy into the things that you do want to do, and confronting any obstacles around whatever is calling your name. Because again, I do feel for this group, something is calling your name, and it's time to embrace the creativity. And it's very interesting because in this Page of Wands, what we see, that's Neville. And he's holding the sorting hat, and what's in there? The Sword of Gryffindor. And if you know anything about Harry Potter, you know how that came to Neville, and you know that it showed up when he needed it. And that's kind of what your future self is saying. Your future self is saying, do the thing because the universe is going to meet you halfway, because you're going to find what you're seeking, but you have to look for it. You have to need it. You have to desire it, and you have to be open to it. And your future self is saying, not everything needs to be about productivity, and not everything needs to be about something that is in any way measurable. Because with this Queen of Pentacles, this is really speaking to imbalance at this time. And I really feel that this is speaking to you embracing where you are at, your ideas. And again, more adventure, more spontaneity. Because for this group right now, you are being called to be your fiery self, to be your adventurous self, to be your spontaneous self. And for some of you, you're trying to keep yourself kind of tied down, and you're really trying to stick to something that you know, even though what you're being called to do is to come out of that energy and embrace something new, embrace something different. And we did have the Four of Wands down here, and with the Four of Wands, I'm actually gonna Put that there. With the Four of Wands and the Queen of Pentacles as something that you need to let go of, don't forget the importance of the simple things. Don't forget to enjoy the present moment. And if you're feeling disconnected, how you are going to feel reconnected or connected to self, to higher self, is going to be by taking a chance. By, again, stepping out of that comfort zone, doing something different, following your creativity, following your inspiration, finding what your inspiration is. Let's take a look at the advice, the career and financial advice from your future self. First, we have the Eight of Swords. Then we have the Hermit. We also have the Two of Pentacles. We have Counselor. Maybe time for some emotional healing of your own or release the past. Careers in counseling, psychic work, or energy healing may appeal to you. Your mental or emotional troubles could be blocking your abundance. Then we have change. Yeah, for some of you, there's a career change, and we're going to talk about it. There's a change for the better coming your way. Embrace it. Just because you don't see any movement, it doesn't mean nothing is happening. Sometimes to see change, you must be the change. And then we have caution with use caution when making financial decisions. Careful not to overspend on wants instead of needs, and more going out than coming in. So your future self, for many of my pile number 3s, you may undergo some level of a career change, a job change. Maybe you go into business for yourself. And it's very interesting because this card talks about psychic work, energy healing. It talks about counseling. It talks about those types of careers. And that's kind of what I'm feeling for my pile number 3s. And not all of you. That's only going to apply to some of you. You'll know if it applies. But overall, your future self wants you to get out of your head and get into your body. This is a group where at this time, it's time to ground yourself. At this time, it's time to really check in with yourself and see where it is that you are headed, where it is that you want to go, especially when it comes to career. Because for some of you, right now, you know that what you're doing may not be working, or at the very least, you desire something different, but you're not necessarily going for it. And if any of you are considering a career change, so if you are thinking about, maybe I want to change my career, maybe I want to go into something else, your future self is saying that's absolutely possible. Just plan for it. Realistically speaking, you will have to plan for it, and it's going to take a little bit before before you go into and have full-on success, meaning that's why the caution card is here. If you are planning a career change, make sure that you plan it out and make sure that you look at your finances and look at what that's going to realistically look like for you. For my pile number 3s, this is also saying at this time, look at your budget, look at your spending, and be very, very mindful of your spending, because this is going to help your future self reach that level of abundance. And I also feel that for some of you, there's going to be something that you start as a side gig that is going to take off and give you way more opportunities and way more abundance. But you need to be aware of what your desires and what your intentions are. And with the Two of Pentacles being here, your future self really wants you to be intentional about where you are investing your energy. This is also saying, make sure that you are not overdoing it in one area versus the other, and that you can find balance between what it is that you're doing, especially if you are changing careers, or if you're going to have like a main gig and a side gig, that's coming in as important. For those of you that are considering a change into more of like offering a service, you could be struggling with the fear of failure, fear of success, fear of, how am I realistically going to make this happen? Your future self says that the answers are already within you and that you will find the path forward. And that if you do make any changes, it's going to be for the better. Now, again, make sure that you plan for this and make sure that you're mindful with finances, especially at the time that you're watching this. If you're overspending, or if you could, and I know that finances are probably hard for most people at this point in time just because of the economy. But really looking at, am I spending money on things that maybe I don't need? Like, do I have something that I can cut out? Sometimes we have subscriptions to things that we completely lose track of. This is really saying get on top of the finances, but make the changes. Make the changes that you are considering, because you will be successful. And for those of you that are not considering any changes, for those of you that are exactly where you want to be, this is also about finding, this could be financial, right? Where if you are in a job and you're happy and you're successful and you don't want to change anything about your actual job, this could absolutely be talking about your finances, where it may be time to practice some changes and to kind of look at your budget, look at what you're working with, and face it head on. Regardless of what this is about for my pile number 3s, it's time to face the changes, the desire for change, and come up with a plan that is tangible. And for some of you, there's so much stress that you're going through because you're refusing to deal with this, and it can be hard, right? It can be stressful to look at certain areas of our lives when they're not working and when we have to figure out what the steps are. But your future self is saying, I'm already here. We did it. And your future self knows that you can do it because it's already been done. And that's a beautiful thing. Let's take a look at love messages, love advice from your future self. I think you guys, you had an extra card here as well. 9 of Pentacles, the Hierophant, 10 of Wands, Queen of Cups. Then we have reaching your goal. Everything you want from this connection will manifest in the near future. Boundaries. You need to teach people how to treat you by being clear on what you will or won't allow. And then finally, we have open yourself to others. This is how you will create new friendships and attract a love relationship. So pile number 3, I'm going to break this up into 2 messages. For those of you that are in a happy relationship where you are content, you and your partner are in sync, there are no issues, you're not really dealing with anything out of the ordinary, what your future self is saying is that right now your focus is probably more on personal growth, more on your career and finances, more on and that's not to say that you are negating the relationship in any way, but it just feels like there are like if you're in a relationship and it's going well, it's doing what it needs to do and your focus is elsewhere. I also do feel that if you're in a relationship, especially with this reaching your goals, your partner and you may be moving to the next level sooner rather than later. But if I'm completely honest, I think most of my pile number 3s are probably single or maybe going through some sort of separation. And if that's the case, let's talk about it. So for my pile number 3, there is a very important reminder here. You don't have to be perfect in order to put yourself out there. There is no perfect state of being where you no longer have to do the work. The truth is, we can do our own healing, and then once we connect to someone else, we get to heal together because things will be triggered, things will come up. That is how relationships work. So for many of my pile number threes, the advice here is, yes, continue to take care of the things that you need to take care of. Continue to focus on your growth. Continue to focus on the things that you want to achieve. But also, it may be time to open yourself up to love. Because I do think for many of my pile number threes, there may be some level of belief that says, I need to be successful. I need to have my affairs in order. And I think for some of you, this is a financial thing where it may be, until I have my finances in order, I'm not going to allow myself to date because I don't want to be judged. And the thing is, you can do both. You can work on your finances, you can work on your career, you can work on your projects, you can work on continuing to improve yourself and still open yourself up to love and still open yourself up to connection. And for my pile number threes, for most of you, that is the message from your future self. And your future self is saying, be careful, because what I think is happening for this group with these boundaries and open yourself to others is that perhaps my pile number threes, your boundaries are too, they're too good, if you know what I mean. Where some people may lack boundaries, I feel like my pile number threes, you know what your boundaries are and you are willing to enforce them. And your future self is saying it's okay to kind of not completely let let anybody in or put your boundaries or ignore your boundaries, but you don't have to be so rigid. It's okay to open yourself up. And for my pile number threes, this isn't just about romance. This is about friendship. This is about just connections in general. Because I do think for my pile number threes, you tend to be used to going at it alone and figuring out your own problems. And your future self is saying one thing that your future self has learned is how to appreciate community and how to accept help. And I think that for my pile number threes, for most of you, that is something that you are still working on, something that may still make you feel uncomfortable. And again, your future self is saying like, it's okay to accept the help. It's okay to open yourself up and let other people in. It's okay for people to know that you are not perfect. And I know for many of you, you're probably thinking, well, duh, no one is perfect. But I do think for some of my pile number threes, you want to present yourself as well put together. And there may be even a level of guilt or shame around letting people see the more vulnerable parts of you. And your future self is saying, open yourself up, put yourself out there, and really look at your beliefs around when it's okay to connect to others. Again, not just romantic relationships, when it's okay to accept help, and what does it mean to be ready to connect to another? Because your future self is saying, you are ready as you are. And I really do believe for my pile number threes, once you decide and once you open yourself up, if you are single, you will meet the right person. Because for some of you, this is you just not being open to it. So let's take a look at something to do. So something practical, something you can actually do for your future self today. What is an action you can take for your future self today? Spirit, for my pile number threes, what is something they can do for their future self today? Pile number 3, what is something you can do for your future self today? It's gonna be... These are very hard, and I usually see a highlight over the card that I want to pick, and these can be very hard. So we have the 5 of Wands Stop comparing yourself to other people. Stop worrying about what other people are doing. If anything, allow other people to inspire you. You're not racing against anyone. You are not up against anyone. Be very mindful of that mentality if it's there. 5 of Swords and King of Cups. So, pile number 3. Something that you can do today for your future self. I keep wanting to say future spouse for some reason. For your future self is, for one, look at where you're at. Look at how far you've come. Look at everything that you've accomplished. This is also talking about building up your skills and your confidence. Because pile number 3, you have so many skills, but you're not always so confident in them. And this is also talking about really being honest with yourself and where you are at and holding space for that. And really looking at any fears, especially a fear of failure, fear of success. And I know that can sometimes sound really silly, like, what are you talking about? Why would I be fearful of success? But listen, that is a thing, and it can be a paralyzing fear, because what that does is it makes us believe that if I don't try and I don't fail, and it's almost like self-sabotage, right? Because if I don't want to fail and I'm afraid that I'm going to succeed, but what if I don't? Then we self-sabotage ourselves. So practically speaking, for this group, this is more about sitting with yourself and really, whether that is like you write it out or you kind of, you talk to a friend. But this is really about you coming to terms with where you are at and being honest with yourself. And I think for some of you, what your future self wants you to do is to find support, especially if you feel like, I just need to talk to someone. Reach out to someone, reach out to a loved one. This is also about brainstorming, thinking outside of the box, and coming up with new ways of approaching a situation. And I think for this group, it's new things that you want to do. Your future self is also asking you, I really do feel for this group, a meditation where you connect to your future self and to your higher self could be very helpful. Because I think that there are a lot of messages that your future self has for you that you can really access on your own and through a period of time where this is like, it's support, right? And another thing here is giving yourself love and support, offering yourself kindness, offering yourself compassion. For some of you, grounding can be very helpful as well. I'm seeing like a tea ceremony. I don't know if this is like a tea leaf reading, if that's something that you know how to do. This could be just sitting down mindfully and being fully present and like maybe drinking some tea. For some of you, if you know how to do the egg cleanse or the limpia, where you are doing egg limpia, you can do that as well. But overall, grounding would be very helpful to this group. And giving yourself a break where it is needed as well. Another thing is we do have the 2 5s, and 5 is all about change. Your future self is saying, start to make the changes, start to take action on the changes that you want to enact. Let's take a look at a surprise your future self has for you. So something to look forward to something that you may desire or something that you may not even be aware of that you can look forward to. So something that your future self wants to surprise you with or wants you to look forward to. Let's see what that is. We have the Three of Cups. I think a big surprise for many of you is going to be just how much support you have and the community that is going to be around you. But let's see what else we have here. The King of Wands and the Two of Cups. Yeah. For many of you, the surprise waiting for you, something to look forward to, is going to be the people that you connect with, but especially your future partner, your future spouse, the person that you are going to be in a romantic connection with. That's going to be a very pleasant surprise. But this is also speaking to you just being a boss, you just being the best version of yourself, and you being, as I said at the beginning, absolutely in alignment with your truth, with your purpose, with your dharma. And it feels like all areas of your life are going to be in alignment. And especially for those of you that have been through very difficult times, you are going to be experiencing so much happiness and joy and harmony that it's going to feel unreal, and that's part of what you need to look forward to. With the King of Wands, this is also the level of creativity that you are going to reach, the level of, it's like whatever the vision is, you will create it because you are a visionary, pile number 3. And for some of you, you're still tuning into the vision. You may not have the full vision just yet, but your future self is saying the success is assured. You are going to create it. You are going to live it. And you are going to create an empire that is going to transcend time. And for those of you that want children, a family, or even if you already have a child or children, you're leaving behind a legacy. You are able to provide. I'm almost getting that, like, for some of you, your child is going to have, like, opportunities that you never had, and it's because of the things that you are going to do. There's also a lot of healing that is going to happen for you. This is a group where there's so much more than you can even imagine that awaits you. But a big thing is going to be the people, the friendships, the partner, the romantic partner, the family that you build, but also just you yourself. And for some of you, this is going to be a power couple dynamic. You and your person are going to be extremely successful together. But let's continue. So I have this card here. This is from the Magikal Spellcards Oracle, and this is going to give you almost like a spell affirmation that you can use, but it's also going to give you information about the future, if you will. So what did I say? Stop. I have goosebumps. Because, yeah. And this is not just romantic. I want to emphasize this for this group. It's not just a romantic partner. There is so much support, community, teamwork, soul family. It says, true love come to me. True love shall come to me. As I do will, so mote it be. And as I said, for my pile number 3s, for those of you that are single, and I do feel for many of you, you are, give yourself permission, open yourself up, and that person will show up. All right, so I picked a goddess energy. This is a message. This is also a goddess that you can work with to connect to your future self. And we have Goddess Hera with resilience. Obstacles are preparation for greater accomplishment. So this is the goddess that you can work with. And yeah, that is what you're doing. You are clearing obstacles. I also chose self-care that you can do at this time, but also as you move into your future self. Let's see what we have here. Make an altar. Yep. I really do feel for this group. Having an altar, having a space that you can connect to would be very helpful. Goddess Saraswati is coming through very strongly for this group as well. But something that could be very helpful. And if you already have an altar, maybe it's time to spice it up. Maybe it's time to change it up or to add certain things or to just see if it's working. But I think an altar could be very helpful for this group. And plan a vacation. And this plan a vacation card can actually be, you know, plan a trip, get on a plane, go somewhere. It could be take a drive somewhere. But it can also be expand your horizons in your day-to-day life. Do things slightly different because there's a lot of that coming in for this group. Let's see the affirmations that your future self is sending you. First, we have I forgot when I put that there, it tries to focus on the face. So I deeply love and value myself, and I effortlessly attract nurturing and fulfilling relationships that bring boundless joy and harmony. Pile number 3. I hope you are ready for the love and support that is coming your way, and you deserve it. Then we have, I trust in my intuition and allow it to guide me towards the best version of myself. And finally, we have, I am open and receptive to all of the wealth that life offers me. I am attracting money and wealth with ease. Pile number 3, claim this one with I am ready to connect. Put that into the comment section below. You can also just put connection, but I hope you claim this one, especially for those of you that may not have all of the support that you desire at this time because it's coming in. Pile number 3, that is what I have for you. Thank you for allowing me to read for you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let me know what you'd like to see next in the comment section below. I am sending so much love, so many blessings, and we will talk very soon. Bye for now.